Here are some of the communication difficulties. Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Certainly lack of joint attention, just as we were speaking about a little earlier. A delay or lack of spoken language, especially if the child doesn't compensate through some gestures. If you see they're not really trying to get their thoughts across in any way, that's a huge red flag. Being able to initiate language. There was a study done that showed that children who could initiate communication rather than just be passive communicators, just responders, had a much better outcome than kids who were just the passive responders. So that's important. Being able to sustain a conversation. Joni says one thing, then I say something, and then I build on what Joni said, and she says, oh, that reminds me of whatever. And that just that back and forth engagement and being able to sustain a conversation. A lot of kids with autism and adults have repetitive or restrictive topics that they're interested in, or idiosyncratic language. Help me, Joni, think of some examples.
It will be okay.
It will be okay. That's one that we know very well around here. Some things that they just might repeat over and over. My very first contact with a kiddo with autism was when I was in grad school at the University of Missouri. And this little boy came at me and he kept going, Betty Crocker eyes, Betty Crocker eyes, Betty Crocker eyes, Betty Crocker eyes. That was restricted language, idiosyncratic, unusual, and so you'll see that. Echolalia comes up, repetition of what is said, and that can be problematic. Although it's a place where we can start building language, so we're glad to see echolalia a lot of times. Some kids just speak in jargon, and it may have meaning for that particular child, or it may not. Sometimes we see pronoun difficulties, who's on first, what's on second, that kind of thing. Or perseverative speech, just saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. I've seen this especially in kids asking questions, just sort of ad nauseum. They just keep going on and on. And then lack of pretend play. Our kids with autism, and you'll see this, and we say kids because we're in education, but as people get older too, constructive activities will be a lot easier a lot of times for people with autism, and this goes to what may be vocationally possible for some of these kids. Whereas pretend or imitative kinds of things are going to be a lot more difficult